What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be predicting the outcome of Vito Mielnicki Jr. versus Nicholas DeLomba, and this is going to be a 10-rounder in the welterweight division, and this fight is going to be Saturday, December 25th from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, and this fight is going to be broadcasted on Fox. And to get into both fighters' resumes, Vito Mielnicki Jr. fighting out of the United States holds a record of 9 wins, 1 defeat with 6 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 180 by BoxRec in the welterweight division. And to list his one and only defeat, he has a majority decision loss to James Martin, although it should have been a unanimous decision defeat. And he also has a knockout win over Noah Kidd, which was his last fight and which is probably his best win to date. And to get his opponent's resume, Nicholas DeLomba, also fighting out of the United States, holds a record of 16 wins, 3 defeats with 5 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently not ranked by BoxRec due to inactivity. And to list all 3 of his defeats, he has a knockout loss to Gledwin Ortiz, a unanimous decision defeat to Jimmy Williams, and he has a loss by wide unanimous decision as well to Richardson Hitchens. And now to list some of his best victories, he has a unanimous decision win over Amos Cohort and a unanimous decision win over Luis Cruz. And in my opinion, this fight is going to go in favor of the young and up-and-coming Vito Mielnicki Jr. I know he does have that loss to James Martin, but he did not look good in that fight. If we're going to be honest, he got dominated in my opinion. I thought he lost that fight like 7 rounds to 1, maybe 6-2 if a little bit generous to Mielnicki. But yeah, he did not look good in that fight, but he did rebound, getting that really nice win over Noah Kidd, as mentioned earlier. But Nicholas DeLomba, I mean, on paper, he's probably going to be Mielnicki's toughest test. But do I think that DeLomba is as good as like James Martin? No, I'm going to be honest. DeLomba, from what I saw of how he fights, he just doesn't really have any aggression at all. When he throws punches, he sort of slaps with them. Doesn't look really skilled at all. As mentioned before, as you might have heard in his last loss, it was to Richardson Hitchens, and I believe that was on like Showbox or Showtime, something like that. And he lost every single round in that fight. But Hitchens is a very, very good fighter, ranked highly in the super lightweight division. But yeah, DeLomba, I mean, he just is not that aggressive. And when, as mentioned before, when he throws his punches, there's not a lot of technique to it. And I just can't really see him having much success in this fight. And I mean, I was thinking the same for James Martin against Vito Mielnicki Jr. So who knows what could happen. But just from looking at how both of these fighters fight, I know that Mielnicki Jr. has not really fought anybody yet besides losing to James Martin. But yeah, I just think he's just a bit more polished. And his technique is better, and he's going to use that in the ring and probably get a wide unanimous decision victory. And being that DeLomba hasn't been stopped since like 2015, 2016, or 2014, somewhere around there, I don't think that Mielnicki Jr. is going to stop him, but I do think he's going to have a lot of success, land a lot of shots, and just win this fight by a clear unanimous decision. And comment down below your thoughts on this fight, whether you think Mielnicki Jr. is going to win, whether you think he's got a chance of having a successful career, or if he's just going to sort of lose when he steps up a bit higher in competition like he did against James Martin. I mean, James Martin was a fight that he was supposed to win. He was a heavy favorite, and James Martin was coming off losses to prospects like Xander Zayas, and that just shows the difference between guys like Zayas and Mielnicki Jr., just much better technicality with those other prospects. But Mielnicki Jr., hopefully he did work on a lot of stuff preparing for this fight, as I believe it is his first ever main event. I mean, on Fox, on Christmas Day, forgot to mention. And yeah, it's just a big card for him. He's probably very hyped for it, probably very nervous as well, putting his skill in front of especially his hometown fans too. I mean, he has a lot riding on this fight. It's supposed to be a good showcase fight for him on paper, even though it is probably his toughest fight on paper, on Christmas Day in front of his hometown fans on Fox. Yes, Fox 5 on prime time, not on FS1, just on Fox. So that's very big for Mielnicki. I hope he does perform well. Seems like a good kid. He's young, he's determined, and yeah, I hope he could rebound from this James Martin loss, look good in his first main event, and I think he will. I think he will get a wide unanimous decision, as I mentioned many times before in this video. I just think that Mielnicki Jr. will be the one pressing the action, landing the better shots, coming forward, with DeLomba not really doing much. And as mentioned before, DeLomba just has a very awkward style where he doesn't really throw too much too much technicality with his punches. He sort of slaps with them and isn't really too skilled and leaves his temple open, forehead, just sort of blocks his chin, has a high guard, but only sort of around his chin area. So, I mean, he's just a very odd fighter from what I've seen. I don't know how his record is as good as it is, 16-3, which actually isn't terrible. And, yeah, but on paper, I mean, he does actually have some decent wins, and I tried to get some clips of him fighting, but most of the clips I've seen were from like 6 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, I've seen a couple from a year ago, but yeah, in that video, I mean, I forgot who it was against, but it was against a lower level fighter, and he just didn't look too great. He didn't look solid. So I think that Mielnicki Jr. should be able to get this win pretty easily. And I think that DeLomba will be much less aggressive than James Martin was against Mielnicki Jr. Martin was just jabbing on the outside, landing some nice shots. I just think DeLomba can't really, or will not react well to Mielnicki Jr.'s pressure, and it'll just be a very awkward fight for him, and he'll probably lose a lot of rounds, but I don't see him getting stopped, if I'm going to be honest. So with that being said, I believe that Vito Mielnicki Jr. will go the distance with Nicholas DeLomba winning most of the rounds, but how will the judges score it? I think the judges could score it like 99-91 once, and maybe 90-92 twice. And I think that the judges could give DeLomba like an earlier round, somewhere around there, like 1 or 2 rounds throughout the fight, if he has some success landing the jab. And trying to just keep Mielnicki off him, which he could early on, while Mielnicki Jr. sort of feeling out in the feeling out process, just sort of processing DeLomba's style. But otherwise, I think as the fight goes on, Mielnicki Jr. is going to really start to press and really just do better and adapt and win this fight pretty easily. So overall, I believe that Vito Mielnicki Jr. will defeat Nicholas DeLomba by unanimous decision to get his 10th victory, one of the best victories of his career thus far. And once again, I believe the judges will score the bout 99-91 once and 98-92 twice. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.